You're listening to Warrior Talk with Heather Thomas Van Daren and Brant Fricker. Get inspired. Be empowered. Warrior Talk.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for Warrior Talk. Get inspired and be empowered. We have a stellar show this morning. You know, I say that word a lot, but it's true.
It's stellar.
It's
What can we
stellar.
say?
And I know, we don't like to brag or anything, but we really do have a good show today. We hope that you stick around and join us. We want some of your input. Last week, it was pretty simple. Jesus plus nothing. And I would call that pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
That was a great show. You guys can catch the replays all over the internet. There's all kinds of places, and we're getting more and more uploaded to all of those venues. And we have radio stations like Notespire Radio.com, Christian Mix 106.com. We have WOTG TV,
Hey,
CTFT. You can get this confused.
WOTG TV. Yeah.
WOTG TV,
Right.
MTNbroadcasting.com.
Right.
And of course, we got YouTube, my website, and Faithful Stream, your darlings network.
That's right. That's right. We almost called it Darling Network, but can I tell you something really quick? I was talking to this sweet, beautiful woman at my friend Woody's wedding, and she said, "Well, I watch all your stuff, but you seem so calm and happy and peaceful." And I said, "Well, I've made some changes in my schedule and associations and stuff, and you know what? I'm just really getting a kick out of people. I mean,
Mm.
I've always loved people. I've always done ministry for the Lord and for people, but I'm really, really enjoying people like I never have before. You know what I mean? Because instead of always being en route to the next thing, it's just wonderful to see people come
Mhm.
together and to share like-mindedness and all that. And so anyway, I'm really excited to see some of our Warrior Talk audience that's going to be at the festival at the end of May. And so we're looking forward to more of that as well.
Yeah, that will be good. We'll make some new friends and reunite with some old ones, and we'll see our Warrior Talk guy, Shelton.
Yeah.
And you were talking about calm, happy, and peaceful. Those are three of the best words I think I've heard you say recently.
Hey.
Calm, happy, and peaceful. And one of the reasons that I would like to think that you're feeling that is when we enter into the show, Warrior Talk,
Hmm.
we know without a doubt that our steps have been ordered by the Lord.
Right.
And we know that we're doing what we're called to do. And we also know that it is our calling to equip you guys to get armored up and be ready for whatever battle comes your way.
Yeah.
We all have battles, do we not, Brant?
Every single day. Every single day. But we're not
Mhm.
alone, though. We're not alone. And that's why, I mean, you've heard it, so many times in sermons and messages and ideology and comments through the decades, right? But we're not on a cruise ship. This is a battleship. We're on a battleship, folks. It's game time. It's good versus evil like never before. And we've got to switch our mentalities, from consumerism to being a modern day warrior for the Lord. Peace is never sweeter when you've been in a battle,
Mm.
and yet battle, you've never been more effective in battle when you've known the ultimate peace, and that's knowing Jesus Christ. And you can't beat that, but a battleship or a cruise ship, a work or no work, a ready or no guard, hey, that's where we're headed right now.
That's right. You really do. It's a great analogy. And you can look at the battleship and then you can look at the cruise ship. And I would like to know how many of you have been on either.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a cruise ship, Brent?
I haven't, but I heard that I would probably eat my body weight at the buffet because it's 24 hours, and I've never been on a cruise ship before, but I think one of these days I will. Yeah.
I have not either. I have several girlfriends that are probably going to give me an earful after this show because they are avid, if not even professional cruisers. They
Uh,
just love it and they do it a lot. And I hope I get to go with one of my girlfriends one of these days in the near future. We've been talking about it forever, but it's not for the faint of heart, from what I understand, because it is go, 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 and so much to do, and so much to eat, and so much sensory overload.
oh yeah.
You've got crowds and crowds of people, and some of them you want to stay clear of.
Yeah, yeah.
You do, as a Jesus follower, you do have to kind of be careful when you're in such a secular environment as that. I
Oh,
have a story about a cruise ship, if I can
oh,
share that with
cool.
you.
Of course. Come on. I'll do that as I take a drink from my Warrior Talk mug. You can get it at htvministries.com.
Very good, very good. Well, when I was a newlywed, we were best friends with the pastor and his wife, and we spent a lot of time together. And he was there for his 5-year anniversary, and the church bought him and his wife a cruise for
Oh,
their 5-year anniversary. So they were all excited, especially his wife. She was really excited. And the thing about Brother Danny was that he was very, very, um, even though he was a people person, he was very, very a homebody. He was very reserved and a little bit on the shy side. And he poured everything that he had into his church.
wow.
So he was, Sunday morning, then he'd take a nap on Sunday, so he'd be ready again to go. And this was a young guy. Okay. We were young, but he just would pour and pour and pour into his church family. He just loved them so much. And so they went on this cruise, and everybody's, kissed him farewell and says, "Have so much fun. You need this break." Well, he came back in the next Sunday. He said, "I really have a confession that I need to make to you guys. After being on this cruise, my first experience ever." And we're thinking, what in the world happened?
Uh-oh.
And he said, "Please, I appreciate what you've done for us. We really do. But please don't ever, ever send us on a cruise again."
All right.
He was no, no, he was mortified the whole time.
Oh
He
wow.
had he had never seen so much worldliness in all of his life
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he had lived a real sheltered life, and he had been called from a young person to pastor a church. But anyway, so it's not for everybody, is what
No,
I'm
no,
saying.
no. He's like Dan Stanley said in the comments, a love boat, love, exciting and new. Oh man. Whew.
Right.
That might be one of the reasons why I didn't go on a cruise yet. I don't know. Or maybe it's just seeing them, capsize in the news. I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know.
I don't know
Right
either.
now I'm about as excited for a cruise as I am a airplane ride. And oh, good gosh almighty. Well,
Yeah,
it seems like in our walk and in our world and our culture, there's people who, they always love to be on the deck. They want to party on the deck no matter what. And, but who's making the ship go? You know what I mean? The old
right.
80/20 principle. And I planted a few churches, and it is true. 80% of your people do not do the work. They want to party on the deck, and
Yeah.
the 20% are toughing it out, you know, making things happen. But it's really important to know where you are today, folks. Really, and no shame, no blame for where you've been or such. But we really got to come together in this time because we are truly, truly at war.
Oh, mercy. We are at war, and as America, we know all about that.
Mhm.
And we've had a lot of experience of the secular war. Some of it was spiritual as well, all at the same time, all wrapped up in a nutshell. But I've had I visited a lot of the historic
Mhm.
battleships that are still around today, docked at port for people to go in and kind of see what was going on. Have you ever been on one of those, Brad?
I've seen one, but I haven't been on one. Man,
Well,
Brant, what have you done? Where were you? You been in the
that's
bubble?
what I'm saying. I've always been a real big history buff, and my
I have
parents were
that, yeah.
really good. And my parents were real good at when I was younger, we would travel to different sites of the world, not the world, but of America. And so I've been on the USS Alabama and the USS Alabama submarine. I've been on the USS Texas, which is still at port down, and I think they just totally revamped that, gave her a facelift down in Galveston. I grew up down close to the coast, and so I got to see that. And the USS Texas was a battleship that served in World War One. That was a long time ago, guys.
Wow.
And she's still sitting there at port. And there's people that love and care for her. If you have ever been on a battleship, you know one thing: they're cramped.
Mhm.
Everything is gunmetal gray. Everything.
Yep.
There's no murals on the wall. There's no, nothing. Maybe the captain's quarter might have some wood grain, oak desk or whatever. But for the most part, it's as dull and boring as ever. The sleeping quarters are tight. The bathroom facilities are tight. It's not a place for comfort.
Right.
It's a place to be all about business. You don't sleep much and you work a lot
Hmm.
because you have to be on the ready at all times. You've got people on what is it, starboard and port? Is that what they call it? I can't remember
I believe
exactly.
so.
But working at all times, working with the ropes, and some of them, if they were sailing ships, working with the sails. So it's all about business, guys, and it's all about being on the ready. And probably if I had have been, I don't know, I've never asked my husband this because my husband served on several Navy ships during his 22 years of service. And I don't know, but I'd be one to sleep with my shoes on, because you never know when it's
Always on the ready,
all hands on deck. Yes, always on the ready. That is definitely my point.
without a
Always on
doubt.
the ready. Such a difference between cruise ships and battleships.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering which one should we learn the most from?
Well, automatically, I'd say the battleship. It takes no effort to have a good time. Well, maybe for some people, if you're antisocial or whatever. But yeah, it's not built for comfort. Built for speed, efficiency, and you have to if you're going to take on the battleship mentality, then you've got to take on, the warrior mentality, the no surrender mentality. We've seen through the years the consumer Christianity, and then we saw the seeker sensitive movement that pretty much destroyed the American church. And I was in that. I actually met uh, a man who was the associate to the forerunner of the seeker sensitive movement, and the guy was almost suicidal as he lamented the fact that we've turned the podium, into a platform, and the congregants into an audience, and you know. He would explain to me the things they were doing that they didn't mean for them to be a big fad. That's just how they did them in Chicago. And he said, the transparent podium that everyone had to buy, we did that because it was lightweight because we had dramas. But still, he lamented the fact that it became such an industry. And so you would see all these pastors from small towns going to the Bill Hybels conventions and coming back so excited and ready to put a Taco Bell in their church and to put do all
Exactly.
these things that were not applicable to where they came from. What works in Chicago didn't work in Tuttle, Oklahoma. and
Hmm.
you'd have these pastors that would have the letdown of that trying to adjust to this seeker sensitive consumer mentality was not easy. And if they did do it, it was all too easy for the next new thing to take those people away, and being in Tulsa, doing a lot of ministry in Tulsa, where there were 3,000 churches
Yeah.
20 years ago, 3,000
Hmm.
churches in one town. And
Yep.
it's not the bastion of Christianity or the Jerusalem of America. And now I would dare say there's probably six, maybe 10,000. And all that to say is we've got to leave this consumer mentality that has brought America to where it is.
Mm.
We've got to leave it behind and step on the battleship and refuse to surrender to the world.
Yeah, that's the truth because it can get you in trouble. That is for sure. I mean, like I said earlier when we were talking about peace and happiness and contentment, it comes from God.
Mhm.
It doesn't come from the latest fad. And a lot of things worth having are worth working for,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to the body of Christ. We're letting people get, mm, we're losing people through the cracks
Mhm.
because we're trying to fit into a mold. If you know anything about us here on Warrior Talk, we don't worry about fitting into a mold.
No, no way. No way.
We no way. We are here to number one, learn all that we can so that we can equip you and ask the Lord, what would you have us to do? And then make sure that you guys know you're not in this battle alone. And we've got to be willing to fight. We have got to be
Right.
willing to stand and, like you said, win or die. And I know that sounds harsh,
Mhm.
but there are so many lost people out there. We have got to learn to have the win or die mentality.
Mhm.
We've got to be fully equipped with the armor of God, and we have to know where we stand. When you're on a cruise ship, you don't think about those things. Now there are for, forgive me because I haven't been on one, but I know a lot of people that have. When you're on a cruise ship and you are a child of God, you still have a mission. The field is ripe for harvest, that's for sure. And so that can be your mission, and you can keep your eyes peeled for an opportunity to speak with somebody about Christ. But things don't always go like you think they are, like you
Right.
think they're going to. I've never been on a cruise ship, Brent, but my girlfriend and I just a couple weeks ago went to that Titanic exhibit.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. That thing was amazing. And it was an eye opener. The Titanic, the people that built the Titanic, the people that were sailing on the Titanic, all thought it was the best thing ever. And look what happened. It ended in tragedy. And there were a few people that were saved because they didn't make um, the ship's launch. And they were alive to talk about it. But there were a lot of things that happened. One of the things that has been learned from the Titanic is that there's heroes out there, but they're not always the likely kind.
Mhm.
And so, you can be a hero on a cruise ship. Absolutely, you can be a hero on a cruise ship. You can still fight the fight and you can still win the battles when you're on a cruise ship. The captain and all of these other people, they fought to their death. That one guy that was what is it, telegraphing SOS for help.
Right.
I mean, finally the rest of them got off, and the one man that lived to tell about it, he said, I looked back, and that guy was still sitting in water up to his waist, still, making a plea for any ship that was near to please come and rescue those that were in the lifeboat. You know, um, there are heroes out there like that, but you're never prepared because the guy that designed the ship seemed to be, in my opinion, after watching everything, he a little worldly, because there were so many lifeboats that needed to be hanging on the side of the Titanic, and he had designed a lot of the Titanic's amenities, and he refused to allow that many lifeboats hanging on the side of the
Mhm.
Titanic because of the aesthetics,
How it looked. Yeah. Yeah.
how it looked.
Well, you,
Is there
yeah.
not an analogy there, Brent?
Well, there is, and we've seen it firsthand, and I want to go back to a thing we talked about with being determined and ready to fight or die. But with the Titanic, so many things went wrong. A lot of controversy about that to this day. But did you know that there was a person on a ship that was very close by the Titanic, and he
Mm,
got angry at his captain, so he shut his radio off. Okay, he shut his communications off.
mm,
He didn't have his head in the game. He wasn't focused, and so we can be focused, but on the wrong things. And if we try to cater to this consumer mentality, it's only a matter of time until the newest shiny toy comes along. We've got to have a solid, grounded faith, and setting our face like flint, resolved. We will not surrender. We will not conform to the patterns of this world, but we will be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And that means sometimes nailing your color to the mast. What is that?
yeah,
When a captain nailed the flag to the mast, that was a statement. We will not surrender. We will die, or we will die trying, or we will win. We will not surrender. And in 1 Corinthians 4, it talks about let men regard us as stewards, right? Or trustees, or those who have been entrusted, as well as servants. Well, the Greek word for that is huperetus, under oarsmen.
mm,
Back in those battleships, you didn't have people partying on the deck. You had the people that were chained to their oars. Okay, and they understood
yeah,
that if the ship went down, they died. They could not escape. There wasn't even a chance for lifeboats like the Titanic. And so let men regard us as what? Those who are churning those living waters. I believe we do that with prayer and
yep,
the fellowship with one another. And those people became very, very strong, and they rode those oars to the beat of a drum. What drum are you going by, folks? We've got to be about the beat of the drum, his beat of the drum, moving forward, not looking back, right? Dedicated. We will not surrender. We will not, run up the white flag and give away territory. In America, we give away territory as fast as we get it. We don't need to do that. So let men regard us as the under oarsmen that are churning those living waters with prayer and service. And while everyone wants to party on the deck, the ship don't go nowhere without the under oarsmen, or in the case of the Titanic, those who were actually the first to die, right?
hmm,
That were feeding the fire. But
yep,
we've got to plan. We've got to plan to be there for the world. We've got to have our own lifeboats ready. I mean, not worried about the aesthetics. Some of you pastors, you've stuck in there. You've been dedicated. You didn't go the way of the aesthetics. Throw away the lifeboats. Throw away the scriptures that talk about sin and talk about redemption. That didn't look good, and we don't keep as many people. Let's go the cruise ship route of McDonald's and the rock concert and Disneyland and Starbucks, and show the world how cool we can be, like being like them. Uh, that didn't work. 9/11 happened. People walked in, they rushed to the church and they went right
yep,
back out because they saw people that were no different than them, trying to be like them. And that consumer mentality that it crippled the American church. Hats off to the pastors who refuse to compromise on scripture, and it's why it's so very, very important. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to celebrate with one another, but we're not called to have a party. We're called to put on the armor of God. You know,
that's right.
and so that's why, again, we've got to take that mentality. No retreat, no surrender, no bowing down to darkness, nailing the color of the blood of Jesus to the mast, and taking our place not for the comfort of it, but for, the fellowship. Because let me tell you something, that's where the power is. Down in the dark, chained to the oars, going to the beat of his drum, churning those living waters, moving forward in the direction that God has set out for us, and setting our face like flint to not give in to the enemy's schemes, but to make Jesus known and to bring as many people as we can to him.
Hmm. Boy, that's really good, Brent. I
Amen.
love that. And putting all the whole armor of God, the whole armor of God, and be equipped in all ways at all times. Um, the Ephesians 6:10 and 11 says, "Finally, brethren, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." That's what it's all about, guys. We're doing it to fight. We're
Yeah.
not doing it for a fashion show.
Right. Right.
we're we're doing it to fight. The belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, feet fitted with the gospel of peace, the shield of faith, helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit. And I know, Brent, that you are fully equipped, and you do go and you do put real armor on, and you minister to children in different churches and stuff to help them get a visual of what that's like. And I think that's amazing. And we haven't had you on the show in a while in your armor, but we need to do that soon.
Oh yeah.
It's a great example of how we can really take it in our mind and one piece at a time, just put that armor on and know that when you have finished, you are fully equipped to take on any challenges that the world has to offer.
That's right. That's right. I saw a clip this morning of President Trump. Of course, I blindly follow no one, but I do appreciate the things that he's doing for the most part. And he said, the best way to fight depression is to work your tush off. And you know what? If we put on the armor and we determine to be about the Lord's work, then we don't have time to be depressed. You know what I mean? I remember seeing
Mhm.
a bumper sticker years ago. Jesus is coming back. Look busy. Well, you know what? You can do more than look busy. You can be busy. You can be about the Lord's work. And it begins with the change of mentality instead of, oh, what can you do for me, God? What can you do for me? No, 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 no. When you're in love, what can I do for you? And, I'm not serving you out of obligation. I'm not a consumer. I'm serving you as a servant, as a hooperatus. I'm serving you, Lord, as someone who will take my place. You talked about all those places on the battleship, so specific for people and things and functions. And that's where we got to live. That's where we got to be. We got to live on the battleship now. And there will be times for R&R where we go
Yes,
aboard, and rest. We will have a rest, but right now it's time to suit up, armor up, and battle up. Nail that color to the mast, okay? No surrender, and get with God's plan. And again, I'm excited, that we can do that. We still have a choice right now. We don't have much time, but we've got to seize the day and be alert. Always be praying in the spirit. And I
yes.
can't wait for the next one. We got a really great one next week too, Heather.
Yes, we sure do. You guys got to hang out and join us again.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. Yeah, we really do love hanging out with you guys and presenting these shows. And we ask that you tell everybody else about Warrior Talk too. And we will see you again next week.
God bless you.